They also, as I point out, they have two groups of initiates. One group is basically like librarians, and the other group are explorers and investigators, which is obviously what Urko is. And so so their goal is to, for someone like you, is to travel and have adventures and seek out unknown things and bring it back here. But the real problem is that clearly there is tension in any temple about what to do with the information. The priests tend to focus on, well, secret is better. The rune lords, on the other hand, are like cult heroes who want to apply some piece of information to some specific goal. Since the explorer initiates don't live very long, there aren't very many rune lords. So there isn't one in this temple, for example. So therefore, you can see that the default is for things to stay secret. Bad people will say bad things about this cult and say that the temples interconnect in secret ways and manage information and sell it to people and use it to make themselves important. And very bad people say that about this cult, that they're basically a spy operation with conspiratorial elements. But we all know, of course, that that's just dirty-minded people with, nothing better to do than to say bad things about a god. So I guess the other thing I wanted to say is that they are a little bit, open. Unlike most temples, they actually will treat almost anybody as a temporary member, usually for teaching literacy and other specific things. And so they have kind of at that level, it's actually one of the friendliest cults, because anybody can come and learn to read and participate in, a seminar or something like that. So in many ways, it's very modern for a Bronze Age culture to have something that's a little bit like an open-air university for anybody. So, but after that, at higher levels, if you want something from them, you are bringing special information that no one else knows, or you're paying them a lot of money. So that's our...
So you say I could learn to read.
You could.
And write.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that takes time.
They also have... they also will teach any battle magic spell. So any of them. That's allowed. They will even do so for credit, but that credit, of course, means things that you might have to do. So those are some features, and let's see. They have. If we want to, we can even begin as the four of you. I'm trying to figure out what to do with Zort. We made him sick last time.
Yeah.
Which seems a little bit unfair. To just kind of keep him sick. That doesn't seem right. But there is always the Temple of the Merciful Dawn is not well represented in the north, but there is a small one here. And as with all of the Merciful Dawn temples, it is very low economic conditions and very informal and kind of a street culture. So it's quite likely that Zort would disappear into that temple. Especially because he's been disconnected from it through all these travels. So that might be his situation, that it's important for him to connect with that. So he might be somewhere here in the depths and complications and confusions and scary places of the lower city. Perfectly at home in them, probably, and busy with whatever temple needs and concerns that he has. He liked, I'm going to play him for our purposes. He liked Skava a lot. They suffered through a lot together, and he is going to give to you the amulet that he got from the tower, from the body, if you will remember.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so
Yep. I think I'm going to take along with Elko.
okay.
I trust him.
Mm-hmm. And also, as you say, this is the
So-
one place where you could learn more. I mean, you could put it all behind you if you wanted to, but
I'll take a look at the place at
Mhm.
least. I still would like to try to learn something
Mhm.
about the runes I saw on that door.
Mhm.
As Erko was pretty open with everything he did and said,
Mhm.
I wouldn't necessarily think of not telling people because they may not give me anything back, so I would go on the premise they may be able to explain to me.
Okay, excellent. So, we can proceed with these enormous steps and a big plaza with these beautiful pillars, and of course these enormous doors. And the I guess the first thing to explain is that this is an active area, and you have plenty of people who are not dressed for travel like you are, but actually have a more formal robe or outfit. And you can see that they are busy teaching people or talking with people, and that this is kind of a nice intellectual environment out here. And that at least one fairly high status funeral commemoration, perhaps a yearly observance of somebody's death, is occurring probably over here on this branch, this area where people get this flat area here. So it's not too gaudy. They are not killing animals or anything like that. There are some cults who do that sort of thing, but here it is a little bit more intellectual. So the building itself looks a lot like the one that I had in the picture, and it doesn't look like Sauron, the Lord of Mordor, or anything like that, but it's pretty nice for this culture. This is clearly a building which has seen a great deal of development, and was very specially constructed for something that is outside the city walls. And this culture is not free of war, and especially not free of raids. So you might get the idea, in fact, you probably know it without even thinking about it, that if pirates were to come, or a raiding force from another community were to come to try to take the city, or to at least damage things enough that they could take things from it, they might find themselves going around this temple. So that's one interesting consideration, that nobody really wants to get on the wrong side of this cult, even though they just seem like nice intellectuals. I will introduce somebody that Urko knows, who's a woman of the same rank, initiate rank. who specializes more in the librarian side of things, whose name is Jala. And Jala will rush forward and be overjoyed to see that you are not, for example, eaten somewhere out there.
Just nearly.
Yeah, it's more than once actually, and that and is very happy, to see you back. So, to state a little bit more about the temple itself. This area is, if not entirely public, is at least accessible to others in the company of initiates, and other people at other times. So there is a big set of stairs here going up, and then another big set there. From this section, there are more private areas of worship and observance that are specific to important visitors from related cults, or for holy days. So for people to go in there for special observances. This staircase going up goes up to the second floor and the third, and up there is where people live. And it's boring. They're just little rooms, like a dormitory, essentially. So that's why there's no map for it. But this is a living space too, not for very many people, but for all the people who are actively serving at the temple and living there. So, such as yourself. So you have a room up there somewhere. And then I think that I have other things to do in a moment.
I'm just going to tag along because I'm really curious about the room we found.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to try to see what I can learn about that.
Okay.
Yes.
So the Jala and other initiates will welcome you back, and will be curious about the two of you. I assume you're going to introduce them and say these are your traveling companions, or
Yeah,
something like that.
I speak highly of them, and
Right.
telling them stories about helping me when I got stuck with throughout the journey. Yes.
So whoever it is who's in charge of maintaining the upstairs rooms is happy to include you as guests for a short time, and or at least if you want to. So basically, on the strength of Urko's introduction, you're welcome guests, and the nobody's really asking directly, but their silences and glances imply that do you have anything? And you know that means that the priests are going to be interested.
Yes. Is it the priests looking at me?
No, you are talking to other initiates and other people who are
Okay.
lay people, ordinary worshippers, but who are associated with the temple. People who you know or know partly. And the priests here too, or some of them, but they are not here present in this area, number 2, at this time. The walls, especially on the staircases, are fairly heavily inscribed with runes, and both of you, anybody in the culture, is aware that you are walking through a zone of magic as you go up these stairs, and then a different one as you go up those stairs. So this isn't very unusual for a temple of this kind, especially for it actually to have enchantments and magical matrices built into its walls. So
Is it
I'm
like
falling back a little
Mhm.
bit. I'm not really feeling comfortable. It's far too close quarters,
Mhm.
and I am distracted by the runes.
Mhm.
I'm looking around. I may lose sight of them.
Okay.
Depends on how fast they are
Right. Okay.
proceeding.
That sounds like a pretty interesting point, and I completely understand.